Hello and welcome back. If you've seen our previous videos, then this looks very familiar. If you haven't watched our previous videos, you're going to want to go back and watch those so that you can get a better understanding of where we are. Because the next step we're going to do is we've made our inventory, we've added stock, we've played with kitting or parent-child relationships. We've played with adjusting quantities, but now it's time to actually get to where the rubber meets the wheels, the rubber meets the road. We're going to actually put these inventory items into a task, and we're right over here on the left side of the navigation. We've got our inventory. We're going to jump up to operations, and then we're going to come down to our tasks. We're going to click on that, and we are going to come over here and say tire install. So if you've seen these videos, you know that we're in this demo site. We're pretending that we are running a little tire shop here, and so we've got a tire install task, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some inventory items. And so we're going to come over here, and you can see we've got this place right here, and we've got an add new, and we've also just got a place where if we select that we can do a drop down list. So the add new is actually just like it says. If you click add new, it's not adding a new item to this task, it's adding an actual new inventory item. So again, if you've watched other videos, you'll see that this looks very familiar because it is the exact same screen that's on that. And so you want to be mindful if you're adding an inventory item. If you click that, you're not adding an inventory item to this task, you're adding an inventory item to the system, which you can then add to this task. And so if you want to see how this works and all these different options, go and check out our video on adding a new inventory item. But otherwise, we'll continue forward. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to select some tires. And now this is going to show kind of an example of why you would not want to put an inventory item in this particular task. So right now, all of our inventory items are, if you watch the other videos, most of them are tires. So tire, a tire, a tire, and a valve stem. And then this is a kit that just contains, that was used for an example of containing all of those. So let's say that I have this task. I want to apply inventory to this because you say, I'm installing tires. I should have tires as the inventory item, right? Well, what tires are you going to install? So in our example here, we have 3 different tires, 1, 2, 3. So if we just go and add those 3 tires, we can do that. And what that means is that if our employee goes and we start a job with this and these inventory items, they're going to clock into that job. They're going to say, okay, I'm installing tires. They're going to punch into that. They're going to put their time in there. At the end of it, they're going to punch out, and it's going to ask them and say, hey, how many tires did you use? And the problem is it's going to say, how many of these tires did you use? Well, I used 0. How many of these tires did you use? Well, 0. How many of these tires did you use? Well, I used 1. Well, a real tire shop could have literally hundreds to thousands of tires. And so what are you going to do? You're going to add all of those into here? And then the guy's going to say 0 to all of those? That doesn't make any sense. Maybe you're thinking, well, I'll just add them all in here, and then when I actually go and make the job, then I'll just delete them. You could, but that sounds extremely tedious. And so in this particular example and for this particular task, it doesn't really make sense to add a tire at this point. In our next video, we're going to go over how to add a inventory item to a job, and also then we're also going to go over how to add an inventory item to a quote. And in those areas, that really makes sense. A guy says, hey, I want these 37-inch BFGs. Great. Here's your 37-inch BFGs. And another guy comes in and says, hey, I want my 35-inch BFGs. And you say, great, here's your 35-inch BFGs. Because at that point, you're giving them a quote. You're making a job. Somebody's coming in. Somebody's asking for a price. And that makes sense. And so in the task, though, adding a tire here or any inventory item similar to that where there's some variation from job to job, it does not make sense to add it here, and I would really recommend not doing that. So you may be asking yourself, well, why do we even have that then? Why, if it doesn't make sense to add it there, why even have an option to do that? Well, the reason for that is there are things that don't have variation, right? So let me give you an example. So let's get rid of this. So in this example, what we're going to do is, I don't know anything about tires. I'm going to just totally make this up, so just bear with me. If you own a tire shop, just roll your eyes and know that I have no idea what I'm talking about. So let's say on a tire install, let's say that there's some sort of consumable. You know, it's something it's something they use every time. You know, you could, if you wanted to, you could say it's a pair of gloves, or it's some sort of install thing that doesn't work. Maybe it's you know, it's something that you always use. It could be a kit that contains all of the little miscellaneous pieces that you need to install a tire. Maybe you know, you say, hey, every time you install some tires, you go get this box, and it's got, you know, valve stems, and it's got this, and it's got the little caps on the valve stems, and it's got a sponge to wet the tire down with some special solution when you're going to mount the tire onto the wheel so that it mounts properly. Whatever. That is where you would add this. When there's no variation from job to job, or very little variation from job to job. And so in this example, a tire install may not have anything that really fits into here. But over here under our alignment, maybe there's like a cam set that every time you do alignment, you have to use one of these cam sets, and you have to take these different little spacers or whatever it may be, and you know, there's 50 different spacers in each kit, and you use the 5 or 6 that you need to get the job done, and then the rest are garbage. That's an example of what you would want to put into the inventory section of a task. And so it can be really easy, you know, it can be really easy to go and add inventory items, but then a lot of times you just struggle with, how do I actually put this into here? And so hopefully in this video we've given you a better understanding that you do have the ability to add inventory items into the task, but you really need to think about what items are appropriate. Again, a good rule of thumb is, if there is a lot of variation from job to job with what inventory item you're using, the task is probably not the place for that. Whereas if you've got something that is very consistently used with this task, then the task is where you would want to put that. And so hopefully that answered your questions. And as always, feel free to reach out to us and for additional clarification. And stay tuned for our next videos, where we're going to show you how to add inventory items to a job and to a quote as well.